Kei aku whakatamarahi ki te rangi, kei aku whakaaio ki te whenua, tēnā koutou katoa, nau mai anō ki te Marae. Kua roa nei e whakakotahi ana i o tātou whakaaro, i a tātou kaupapa, kia wānanga hia, kia whiriwhiri hia, kia putai, he pūrangi ahotanga, kia ora hui hui mai anō tātou katoa. Nā, ko tā te whakakotahitanga o te ao, he aro turuki i tā tēnā whenua, hāpai i ngā mōtika tāngata. The United Nations monitors how countries uphold human rights, including their obligations under international indigenous law. When governments fall short, the UN calls it out. And that's exactly what's happened this week in Aotearoa.
All eyes are on Aotearoa as tensions rise between the government and the United Nations.
David Seymore has been pulled into line by his coalition partners. The ACT leader forced to withdraw a blunt letter he sent to a top United Nations official.
UN Indigenous rights expert Albert Berume writing to our government over a persistent erosion of the rights of Māori through regressive legislations and policies breaching international obligations.
They purport to speak for Indigenous New Zealanders such as myself from Geneva on the other side of the world when they wouldn't have a clue.
It's over 80 years of our engagement with the United Nations. That's not how we act.
And instead of distancing himself, Prime Minister Christopher Luxon backed the message.
I think the whole letter was a total waste of time.
Māori leaders were already in Geneva, attending a major UN forum on Indigenous rights.
Statements like this from New Zealand's Deputy Prime Minister undermine our international human rights and the structure generally. It reduces New Zealand's authority to call out human rights abuse globally.
It is concerning to sit here before you today knowing that comments coming from our government at this moment in time appear to be undermining the framework of the United Nations. Therefore, the Commission requests again that the MREP not be deterred by the New Zealand Government's lack of response to proceed with a follow-up visit. It is needed more so than ever.
Now an open letter, backed by thousands across Aotearoa, will soon be sent to the UN saying,
"We reject the inference that Minister David Seymore speaks for his fellow Māori. His repeated actions and proposals have caused widespread harm. Suggesting your advocacy is misplaced is not only offensive, it's a deliberate attempt to silence Māori who have called on the international community for support."
The letter will be delivered in the coming weeks, calling on the UN to remain engaged and continue monitoring the situation here in Aotearoa.
And joining us now live to unpack all of this, ko ai ke atu i a Tina Ngata, Indigenous rights advocate and researcher, Rawatahi ko Deo Takitimu, Indigenous rights governance partner at the Human Rights Commission. Kia ora kōrua, kai aku tuāhine e mihi ana kia kōrua. Thank you very much for joining us. Tuatahi, Tina, kia tīmatake ki a koe. What's the UN actually asking for and why does it matter?
Well, the international rule of law and international kind of human rights framework is upheld by member states who sign on to agreements, have collective agreements, and those agreements are monitored by the Human Rights Council committees and rapporteurs. And so Mr. Berume is operating as a rapporteur. It's his job, where concerns are repeatedly raised to him to inquire more deeply. And it's the first stage of that inquiry where he basically comes to us and says to our government and says, well, there are these issues that have been raised to me. Can you please explain what this is about? And so the response was not good. It's never good to have those kinds of letters anyway, but the response is quite alarming. And importantly, no conclusion had been made. It was the inquiry stage of the process.
I mean, Dale, the Prime Minister, he thinks the letter's a complete waste of time. What did you make of the government's response and what are the broader implications?
First of all, kia ora, Morena, Scotty. First of all, I should premise this on saying, per convention, we haven't at the Human Rights Commission officially seen copies of either the letter coming from the United Nations or David Seymour's response, because those are, by convention, cloaked in a degree of confidentiality for a certain period of time. What I would say is, in agreement with what Tina's just laid down for you, that the Special Rapporteur is responding to a number of communications to the Special Rapporteur and in fact to across the United Nations framework from Indigenous advocates and in fact from ourselves at the Human Rights Commission, calling on the United Nations to shed some light on the human rights standards we think need to be upheld in regards to the government of this country, particularly in regards to their obligations under Te Tiriti o Waitangi and in regards to the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. So there's been a lot of advocacy saying from various quarters saying that people think that that's not up to scratch at the moment, and the United Nations through the Special Rapporteur has responded to that, as Tina said, in a very initial way, prompting that discussion. And that tension that exists between human rights and domestic sovereignty is one that exists across the entire United Nations framework. That's the tension that exists across all international law. But at the end of the day, the United Nations, in fact, exists to assist to resolve that tension and that conflict by viewing and monitoring human rights so that they are seen as universal and paramount across the global order.
And now, Tina, I mean, the response from our government sparked a wave of concern. We've sent an open letter to the UN with over 10,000 signatures. But what are we actually calling for in the letter? What do we want from the letter?
So the letter reaffirms that we have a right to international protection as Māori. It reaffirms that we will continue to be our own voice, which called out to the United Nations for their oversight. And it invites them to continue their oversight, to remain in dialogue with us throughout this political crisis. And it is a political crisis. It might be a crisis of idiots and egos, but it's a crisis nonetheless. And so we've called upon them to remain in contact with us and to maintain their oversight over what's happening in Aotearoa, and for us to remain as our own nation, which we have since 1924. Māori have insisted upon having our own voice in that space as a nation in our own right.
I mean, Dale, we've got about a minute left there, ngako maha ki mai. But, you know, I guess one of the questions that a lot of people will have is, does the UN have the power to hold Aotearoa to account over this kind of thing?
Well, the UN is a part of an international framework which New Zealand belongs to, voluntarily belongs to. New Zealand, of course, right from the Charter of the United Nations set up in 1945, New Zealand has subscribed to that international framework and itself seeks legitimacy from it on occasion. So it sort of has to take the good with the bad or the support with the criticism in terms of setting that global standard of minimum human rights, particularly in regards to Indigenous rights. These are things that, as Tina has said, for a very long time since Taupōtiki Wiremu Rātana first went to international law to seek some sort of support for the implementation of Te Tiriti o Waitangi, the honourable implementation of that. Indigenous peoples have always utilised that framework, and so has New Zealand as a state party. And so that again comes back to the very foundations of the United Nations to set some sort of global standards, and they have in regards to Indigenous rights and human rights, and they are holding the New Zealand government to account for that. That's exactly what they're set up to do.
Ka pai. Dale, Tina, kai aku hoa, kai aku rangatira, e mihi mai hoa atu ana kia kōrua. We really appreciate your insights into this important kaupapa. Ngā mihi nui kia kōrua. Tēnā kōrua.
Ngā mihi skori.
Tēnā koe skori.
Hoi nō rei tiwi, whai ake nei, hei muri ake i ngā whakatairanga ka tirohia tētahi kaupapa hohonu e pākau mai ana kia tātou katoa te ao Māori, tēnā kia mautonu mai. Bueno, ko te kaupapa e whai ake nei e tiwi, farming e hoa mā. Now, farming for so long, it's been the backbone of our economy, but a 95-year-old government policy in Te Tai Tokerau has cast a long shadow on whenua Māori, some calling the effect of what's known as development schemes akin to raupatu. But even against that adversity, an 1,100-hectare farm is winning and winning big. led by those who had once never farmed before and a Green MP. Reporter Yvonne Tahana packed her gumboots and went north.
Steady on, steady.
The dogs here are good boys and keen. They have to be because these bulls are trouble.
Yes, they are. I find they're pretty much the worst at 1 year old, yeah.
It's like your toddler stage, right?
Or teenager stage.
He manages an 1100-hectare farm known as the Ngaiotanga A3 block. It's an hour north of Whangarei on an isthmus between Russell and Whangaruru. But just 5 short years ago, these neat paddocks look nothing like this. Trustees joke they used to have bugger-all fencing here and only 2 massive fields.
Yeah, we had a paddock basically to the west and a paddock to the east, divided by the road which drives from Ngaiotanga down to Bland Bay. Now we have a cell system consisting of 480 paddocks, where we have a constant rotation of stock on a daily or bi-daily basis.
These whanaunga would never have dreamt of gathering easily and freely here.
We were alienated. It is like a raupatu. We have to call it a modern day raupatu because it's in living memory.
Still, their fortunes have changed, and we'll get to the how in just a bit.
Congratulations once again to Whangaroa Ngaiotanga Trust.
But first we'll start with a win, a big one. Recently, the trust that runs this block took home a Premier Farming Prize.
Whangaroa Ngaiotanga Trust.
The Ahu Whenua Trophy for Best Sheep and Beef Farm for their bull fattening operation.
Yahu mai, yahui, tawhiti nui, tawhiti roa, tawhiti pā mamau, te hononga o te
Then celebrating at home with their proud Ngāti Wai whānau.
Maria mai ngā taonga, hara mai te mana, te Māori, te ihi, te wehi me te mana. Hara mai koutou, hara mai the X Factor. Hara mai, hara mai.
Even now I can feel the hairs on my arms sort of standing up. That's a wairua thing, that's a tupuna thing, and I think for those who I've had a chance to talk about it with, a similar sort of sense of humble pride for our community and a genuine sense of satisfaction that by backing ourselves, by putting a plan into place, we were able to achieve something quite special in our little neck of the woods here in Whangaruru. In 2020, we set ourselves a pretty audacious goal of owning $1 million herd by the year 2025. And at that stage, none of us as trustees had ever done any farming. And we didn't own any stock, we didn't even own a rabbit or a chicken, nothing.
They ended up achieving that goal by 2023. The herd is now around 1,500 head. But their success shines a light on a largely forgotten history of Māori farming in the north. It starts in the 1930s when Tāpirana Ngata is at the height of his power and influence. As Native Minister, he is responsible and enthusiastic about what's known as Māori land development schemes, aimed at sustaining and advancing rural communities. His goal was to put Māori on their own land.
The development schemes came from Apirana Ngata's vision of, that mahi ahu whenua.
Historians noting that in return for financial backing for fencing, seed and stock, the government assumed extraordinary powers over all remaining Māori land north of Auckland. Let that soak in. In total terms, nearly 180,000 hectares. It wasn't revoked until 1963. Made via blanket proclamations, the aim was to get assistance to farmers quickly. And in practice, government supervisors called the shots right down to how much manure could be used. At Whangaruru, the scheme starts a little later on.
In 1940, thereabouts, the Crown started first making some noises about consolidating the whānau blocks along this coast into a single land development scheme. And that got some traction in 1952, at least from the Crown's standpoint. And they held a hui here for the 484 owners, of whom 64 were present, and of whom 24 agreed with the motion.
By 1961, the farm was drowning in debt, its prospects called virtually hopeless by government officials who ran the show. In 1989, a lifeline. A change in government policy meant the land was returned. Morris Pitta says its financials were a mess.
The challenge was, with that large debt, there was no way of economically viably farming this block. And they did their level best as a trust, but they were really handed a dud hand and had no choice but to lease the block out.
That lease ended in 2020. Marae understands there is a confidential legal agreement in place.
Remembering the struggles of the past and looking forward to the future. And I get quite emotional about it because I think about the AGMs and the challenges that our past chairman, Wayne Johnstone, fought alongside trustees in terms of the transition from our tenant to now, where we have our land back. It's been powerful watching the way that steady, strong, capable governance with a vision for land back has borne us fruit.
After decades, Ngāti Wai were back on their own whenua. What did that feel like?
It was incredible. Probably the best summary of it would be a photo which we can share with you. It's a little bit blurry, a little bit hazy, but what you can see is the sense of joy and pride and just genuine happiness of our people as they stood right where we're standing now. And we didn't have to say cheese for this photo.
I'll walk up to the gate. Go for a visit with the tūwhenas.
This is Auntie Ellen Hardiman. She likes the young ones to keep up.
Auntie. Oh yeah, she's getting on the angles. All right? Yeah.
Today visiting Ngaiotonga's Urupa, which is on the farm block.
It's a lovely one,
This is Auntie Uncle Pona and Auntie Lizzie.
Yeah.
Our beautiful auntie. And our handsome uncle.
Yeah. It's a lovely space that they've made as children.
Kia ora kōrua.
Yeah.
Past trustees weighing on their minds.
Just thinking about, how they would feel now that we're productive with the farm.
Be proud of yous all.
They had a vision, and it was really tough. They had to make decisions according to what was in front of them at the time.
Thank you.
It's a good place for remembering. Ellen recalling her mum, Huhana knew her too and says that auntie had the best stories about popping out babies.
All my husband had to do was put his boots at the end of my bed and I was happy. I was cracking up. Yeah.
Ellen's parents had a whare here, but a combination of them wanting to move closer to town and the scheme pushing locals out meant her connection was severed.
I'm so proud of you all and the mahi yous have all done to get this all back into the shape it's in now. Beautiful.
Kia ora. And so I'm just thinking about, our next generations, the mokopuna, and that's what I think, with our AGMs, we're taking everyone to the whenua every year so they can see it because we've never been on it.
Yeah, beautiful. I've been on it a couple of times now on this whenua. Beautiful.
Yeah, nice. Ngā mihi, Auntie. Well, it's lovely you're here with us today.
Thank you.
It's a close community where drop-offs are the norm.
Got you some fish and a bit of pork.
Oh, thank you so much, man.
No worries. I caught the pork yesterday, so you can't get much fresher than that.
Thank you. And the Morris got the fish.
Yeah, he got the fish for you.
For my dinner. Thank you.
Oh, we'll see you later, eh?
Thank you. Kia kaha, kia mahi.
Cheers.
Wonderful.
The dream now is to do more for them.
So a massive goal for us is to bring our people back to the land. Every AGM, they get their meat pack from the farm and they get a bottle of honey. But on top of that, what is the next give? I mean, I'd love to do like a run-walk series to bring community and our people back to do a run and a walk around the block because we're coastal on both sides. It's so beautiful. I have a vision that we can be predator-free, pest-free from Ngaiotunga out here to Tupare Huia. And that's an audacious goal, but I think it can be achievable working alongside our general title landowners as whenua Māori, hapu iwi marae, Department of Conservation here in Tupare Huia. Let's all work together for something for our taiao.
Morris says trustees will be resetting strategy shortly.
There's a real meaningfulness to our people who once were very strong gardeners to get our fingers back into our soil and start planting some of the crops that my parents' generation talk about, where they used to, the kumara, the pumpkin, the riwa, and so on. So I think we'll start small, most likely, and carry on from there. And if something evolves from that in a commercial sense, if not, all good.
Gourmet peru peru.
Why not?
Still, just like these yearlings, the Pākehā farm manager is feeling the pressure to perform. His partner is from here too, and she's also under the gun.
I understand you come under a lot of pressure out here, a lot of pressure. You always ask constantly about when you two are going to have babies, is that right?
Yeah, from Huhana.
The work far from done as this community gets gumboots on the ground.
E whai ake nei, we meet the DJ learning te reo Māori. Hoki mai anō, John Harrison, aka DJ Seymore, has found success in many fields, but he's been working on his most personal journey yet as he learns te reo Māori. Courtney Tairi with this story.
Rhythm.
He's one of the most recognisable faces in Tāmaki's creative scene. A DJ, fashion designer, chef, athlete and ambassador. A career with all the measures of success. But this year, DJ Seymore pressed pause on all of that and went back to kura to find something deeper, to reclaim his reo Māori.
I think the people, definitely sound, music, kai, anytime I can connect with people for sure.
Engari, aha ko tāna angitu nui, I noho tonu tētahi wāhi koretake I roto I aia.
There was a little bit of missing, like something was missing. And so I thought I had done so many things and done everything I thought of that I could do that could bring me the fulfillment. But no, I was just like, okay, I haven't done this. Let's try learn the reo. Let's try and jump into Te Ao Māori. We did have much connection. Wasn't too much reo being spoken, but there are some po in my life that did keep us connected to the north, especially Mangamoka and everywhere else up north. But there wasn't too much of the reo, or I was probably immersed in it where I didn't know it was normal day to day until I started wanting it more. And so the fire just built up. And then so I was just like, okay, what's my plan? Had to figure out my putia for the year because it's a whole year I've got to give up. And so I was like, okay, let me try to sort these out. Managed to get it all done. I think the third day before Takiura was starting, I managed to get in.
Ko Takiura tētahi o ngā kura u aua rawa atu I te motu.
I heard that it was the hardest place to go to. And also being there 9 to 3, that's what I needed for myself. Because I do so much other things, if I just do once a week, I'm gonna forget all of that, or I'm not gonna learn enough. So I need to be immersed in it fully. My guessing has gotten way better right now. Like I can sit there and understand that, okay, sweet, what did he mean? Then I can ask other people. But I love sitting in it now. I used to be so whakamā and scared to be around it just because I didn't want to feel like I'm not supposed to be here. Now, love it, yeah.
What's this hiding been like for you so far?
It's alignment, eh? Everything's been aligning, falling into place. You can tell these people out there, they're happy for me to be doing this. And so just, that's been it. It's the fulfillment I've been looking for. E tū pouta kawa. Te kai kawe ngā mate o te tau. Haere rā ki te poho rangi nui.
Kua te tuki I aia ētahi tino taumata.
Being able to stand in these moments, learning tūrako about my home, mangamoka, about my marae. I never knew that my marae, the po of my marae, holds the stories of how ngā pui came together. And until I got that kōrero, I was just blown away. Like, it's been in front of me this whole time, every time I go up there.
Ko tētahi atu pairangi nui, ko te whaiwahi ki te rārangi Māori motuhake o te boiler room. E mohiotia ana puta noa I te ao.
If I can die a happy DJ. It's one of my dreams to play a boiler room set. I think the timing of that, especially after the hikoi, and then coming into this and having a full lineup of just Te Ao Māori artists. And yeah, having some mates on, bringing them on. And it was just nice to give the world another perception of who we are as people.
Kia ora everybody, it's the boy Mellow Downs, and this is my guy Seymore over here. We're gearing up to celebrate Imaginator's 25th birthday. We'll be performing at the Birthday Beat on June 7th in Toronto, Canada during the Imaginator Film Festival alongside other Indigenous artists.
I haere hoki a DJ Seymore me Mellow Downs ki Canada I tēnei tau.
It was probably the coolest experience I've ever been to. Being surrounded by so many Indigenous people. We're First Nation, we're Inuits, Aborigines.
Yes.
We had a bunch of us Māori as well. To be over there for the music summit and also the film festivals, we were just blessed with so much stories through song, through visuals, and also seeing people really enjoy seeing us as Māori over there, because being over here in New Zealand with everything going on, you forget how important we are to the world. We go over there, everyone's telling us that they love our treaty, they love that we got these things, locked in for our whānau and for our whenua. So the stories and just the want to be around us and talk to us, how did you do that? And I was like, I can't really tell you, but I know my stories, and these are the stories I can share with you. But even doing haka over there, waiata, tautoko, everyone's just blown away. And they can definitely feel the wairua. It's a lot stronger than a lot of those other Indigenous people over there. Oh, in that place, yeah. But it was, it's amazing. Nate, tōku kaupapa o te rā, te haerengo o te wairua, ne? I definitely wanted to be able to kōrero Māori ia rā. But my day-to-day deal, I would like to get that up. I would like to be confident speaking on the pai, but I think that comes with learning more reo. Also going home, I'd like to travel home more often. Rawe, kumotu? Oh, rawe!
Mō te hunga e whakaro ana ki te ako I te reo Māori?
You're never going to be ready. Just do it. It's going to be hard, but make it hard now. Go through it, yeah.
What would you say then to your younger self who was possibly...
Listen now. No, I would try and tell him to soak it all up now. Go back home, learn all the corridors, keep your head up, walk strong.
Ka tiha e karema, koe rā tā marae I tēnei ata, kia rangi nui te rangi, kia rangi pi ata te rangi, kei mua I a tātou katoa. Kia ora. Ko te reo, te take.